heart of how stable and trusted international cooperation works.
I'm going to be honest with you. If Donald Trump talked the way he was talking about Greenland, but about the UK instead, I think Keir Starmer would have a similar attitude. Like, I think if Donald Trump was like, yep, UK, you're next. I'm taking it by force. It's mine now. I mean, we're basically all, come on. This is a nation of British people that came here a long time ago. It's mine now. It's ours. Keir Starmer would come out.
The issue about the UK.
I can't believe we've derailed today so much for like the last 2 hours, but honestly, I think it was a productive conversation.
And are you clear that the UK will stand behind Denmark for Britain? And do you believe that that's the position of the European Union as well?
Yes, I believe that, and the reason why I believe that is due to the strong statement from your Prime Minister. I think it will be repeated by the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Parliament right now. And especially, and that's perhaps even more important in order to convince me, also in close session and the meeting we just have had.
And Minister, you said over the weekend that you...
My MAGA family's starting to say we're owed Greenland because we're giving NATO so much money and the Danish are selfish. My dad says Denmark owes America $3 trillion worth of unsalted peanuts. Fuck! Stop! Dude! Come on, man. Stop baiting. Chat, stop. I know as soon as I read that shit and get mad, you're going to do it more often. Please stop. What do you want me to do? Bring back the top of the hour ad break? At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break, even though there isn't actually a 3-minute ad break, but you can still subscribe. Is that what you want me to do? You want me to start baiting you so you don't do this unproductive shit? God damn it. Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Okay, your voluntary contributions in the form of a subscription, either a $6 a month subscription or a free one in the form of a Twitch Prime that you can get by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get one free Prime subscription a month, or gifted subscriptions to others, is the only effective way to sponsor or support the Piker Broadcasting Service. PBS is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Thank you, PBS. If you want to learn about tomorrow's news today.
Was surprised by the president's statement, given the meeting that you had with Vice President Vance and Mr. Rubio. What had they led you to believe, and why were you so surprised?
It's not that they have led me to believe anything. It's just that we made an agreement, The meeting we had last week left me with the clear impression that the president honestly and full-heartedly want to acquire Greenland. But we also made it crystal clear that this is a red line. Having said that, we agreed to disagree, and the concerns they raised at the meeting and also in public about security in the Arctic is concerns we want to accommodate. And therefore, we agreed that we should move this dialogue from, social media and Truth Social and other arenas into a meeting room where we could discuss, could there be a solution where we, building on what we already have agreed in the past, the 1951 agreement, etc., the NATO alliance, could do more to give US the assurance that even though we can handle the current situation in Greenland, which we can, and there are no Chinese investments in Greenland, will we also be able to do that in a 10, 15, 20 years perspective? That was what we agreed. I also made it very clear that we are open for this kind of discussion. We are pragmatic, cold-blooded Scandinavian people with a warm heart. But it is not easy when we wake up every morning to new threats. Please convey that message to the president. And therefore, for a second, I thought, we have managed not to...
Hasan'ım, Zek toplumdan kopuk diyorsun ama sen orada o kadar am sikiyorsun. Zek 24 saat 31'de o da bizden biri. O daha bizden biri. Mugo baba. Hayvan oğlu hayvansın. Yemin ediyorum. Ayı. İnanılmaz. Mugo baba. Ben ikna oldum abi. Susun lan. Hiç mi sikiş yok abi? Pompa yok mu sizde ya? Türkler. Amsız mı kaldınız? Abaza herifler ya. This guy said, Hasan, Zach, Asmongold, you claim to say that Asmongold is separated from the masses, except you 24/7, whereas Zach Asmongold is off 31, which is the numerical assignment for masturbation in Turkey, as I've talked about before, is masturbating 24/7. He is closer to us. He is saying, I am a fake man of the people because I am having sex with women. Oğlum Ohio'da ne pompası amına koyayım. Adamlar porno sitelerini kapadı bu arada. ID istiyor sanki Türkiye'de amına koyayım. Kimdi bunu diyen? I'm gonna give you a example. Hold on bir dakika. Hold on. Yok, Mesut Yılmaz değildi. Kimdi lan amına koyayım? Süleyman Demirel. Okay. Amerika'nın Yozgat'ı. Zamanında Süleyman Demirel'e gidiyorlar. Diyorlar ki genel evleri kapatmamız lazım. Okay. Yeter artık. Devlet kerane işletiyor, olmaz böyle. Süleyman Demirel dönüyor, diyor ki bizi mi siksinler? Kerhaneleri kapatalım da bizi mi siksinler? Halk bizi mi siksin? One of the Turkish prime ministers, Süleyman Demirel, was asked, because in Turkey's a very unique country. It's a Muslim country, but it owns and operates government brothels, right? Like it's fully legalized. Okay? So it has brothels. And they asked the prime minister, you should close these brothels. Like this is, moral decay. This is degenerate. Why the do you have brothels? And he turns around and says, okay, we'll close the brothels and what? Have them me instead? Rabbim Cleveland dedi, ahsen unaktan. This Turkish chatter is complaining because they've closed the porn sites in Ohio. He's in Ohio, and he's saying it's America's Yozgat, which is like an Ohio of Turkey. And he's saying it reminds him of Turkey because porn sites are closed in Turkey. Dal kalkar, kartal sarkar, kartal salkar, dal kalkar. Is a Turkish tongue twister. So you have brothels but no porn? Yes, bro. Yes. Turkey has brothels but doesn't have material on website. Yes. It makes no sense. It literally does not make sense, bro. It doesn't. Stop trying to make sense of it. Turkey, Muslim country, until I forget when they actually privatized it, but Turkey is a Muslim country that actually had state-owned enterprise that would make alcohol, okay? And Turks still drink a fuck ton of alcohol. Rakı is a big part of our culture. It's a big part of our dining experience. Tekel is government-owned, state-owned enterprise that is, alcohol factories, and cigarettes too.
Solve the problem, but to find a pathway forward. It was disrupted by the statement from the president, and that's a reality of life, and that's why
it was privatized under Tansu Çiller, who was the Thatcher of Turkey. Tansu Çiller, our female prime minister, which, by the way, Turkey got a female prime minister way before America even entertained Hillary Rodham Clinton. So, another common American L, I guess, and a common Turkish W for feminism.
It's so important that all our allies in the NATO alliance and the European Union stand up for these principles to show the American president, you have a desire, you have a vision, you have a request, but you will never be able to achieve that by putting pressure on us. That signal is of crucial importance in order to, I would say, to push the Americans back into the meeting room as we agreed last week.
And just final question, please. Sorry, just final question. It's a really anxious time for the Danes, from the Greenlanders, and indeed for all Europeans. Do you feel vulnerable, and do you also feel betrayed by the US, given that you have been such a close ally of the US and such a good NATO member?
I use the words surprised, and I think I will stay on that. I mean, I have no intention to escalate things. I've had this discussion with the president.
Süleyman Demirel, Alparslan Türkeş, a nationalist politician, is called a son of the Turk. Bülent Ecevit, a center-left politician, is called a son of the people. Necmettin Erbakan, an Islamist politician, is called a son of Muslims. What am I then? A son of a bitch? Yeah, Süleyman Demirel had a lot of funny quotes. He was a funny dude for sure. The same guy that I was talking about with the brothel thing. Yeah, I closed the government-owned brothels, and then who will the public? Me?
My former capacity as Prime Minister. And it's a matter of fact that we had casualties in
Was
Afghanistan.
he good looking?
Totally.
No, not even a little bit, bro. What the? This is what he looked like. That's so funny. You said, was he good looking? No, not even a little bit. Okay. He's so hot. Okay. Like going to town on a beanbag chair.
Similar to the US casualties. At that specific occasion, he said, you made a good argument. I want to repeat that one. And of course, I realize that the Vice President said you could have done many things, proper in the past. Will that define the future? I think it gives you credit. Yes. I mean, you can always count on Denmark, as we always can count on UK. And that's why I have been very, very pleased to visit UK today.
Good morning. The world has become markedly more turbulent in recent weeks.
Are you guys ready for this? Because he's going to say some crazy stuff. What? He still thinks you can reason your way out of this? Yeah, it's very stupid. But speaking of another man who is going to use his sharp tongue to really give a washing to Donald Trump, and not a lashing, as you would expect, Keir Starmer.
Events are moving fast. And in moments like this, what matters most is being clear about the values and the interests that guide us, even as such. The United Kingdom has a long history. Our values were not improvised. They were built patiently over time. And while we are pragmatic in how we pursue our interests, we are resolute in defending those values when it matters. So let me begin with the United States. The UK and the US are close allies and close partners. That relationship matters profoundly, not just to our security, but to the prosperity and the stability that people here depend upon. Under President Trump, as under previous presidents, we're determined to keep that relationship strong, constructive, and focused on results. And that approach is delivering. Through sustained engagement, we've seen significant US investment into the UK economy, running into hundreds of billions of pounds, supporting growth, skills, and jobs right across the country. Our cooperation on defence, nuclear capability, and intelligence remains as close and effective as anywhere in the world.
I like that he spends most of the time talking about how awesome it is to be a vassal state for America. That's sick.
Keeping Britain safe in an increasingly dangerous environment. We've secured good trading terms in key sectors, including cars, steel, aerospace, and life sciences, protecting British jobs and manufacturers. That is why we take the approach that we do, because it delivers concrete outcomes in the national interest. I talk regularly to President Trump, and my team is in daily contact with all the key figures in his administration. These relationships matter. They deliver concrete outcomes in the national interest. Mature alliances are not about pretending differences don't exist. They are about addressing them directly, respectfully, and with a focus on results. On Greenland, the right way to approach an issue of this seriousness is through calm discussion between allies. And let's be clear, the security of Greenland matters. And it will matter more as climate change reshapes the Arctic, as sea routes open and strategic competition intensifies. The High North will require greater attention, greater investment, and stronger collective defence. The United States will be central to that effort, and the UK stands ready to contribute fully alongside our allies through NATO. But there is a principle here that cannot...
Dude, it's crazy. He's literally just mapping out exactly why America is going to do whatever it wants to, and there's nothing we can do about it. Like, he's even giving the reasoning behind why America's behaving like this. How can you read this as anything but just complete submission? It's just complete submission, dude. Incredible stuff. Oh, we have a long-standing and crucial partnership with America. You know, they control our nuclear arms. We have no power here. And obviously, as climate change worsens, new trade routes will open up by way of Greenland, and we can't have anybody but America control that.
Be set aside because it goes to the heart of how stable and trusted international cooperation works.
I'm going to be honest with you. If Donald Trump talked the way he was talking about Greenland, but about the UK instead, I think Keir Starmer would have a similar attitude. Like, I think if Donald Trump was like, yep, UK, you're next. I'm taking it by force. It's mine now. I mean, we're basically all, I mean, come on. This is a nation of British people that came here a long time ago. It's mine now. It's ours. Keir Starmer would come out and be like, long-standing security partnerships were merged over mutually agreed results. And as the Prime Minister of the UK, our relationship matters profoundly. And for that reason, I'm saying, yes, we will be a complete vassalized state. We will be a part of the United States of America.
And so any decision about the future status of Greenland belongs to the people of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark alone. That right is fundamental, and we support it. Denmark is a close ally of the United Kingdom and of the United States, a proud NATO member that has stood shoulder to shoulder with us, including at real human cost in recent decades. Alliances endure because they're built on respect and partnership.
Okay, level 2 hype train. Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. It would be kind of like Taiwan taking China. No, it wouldn't be kind of like Taiwan taking China, because the KMT, like, escaping to Taiwan, the island of Formosa at the time, is much, you know, it's a much more recent phenomena than American prisoners being shipped off, or British prisoners being shipped off to America to create a settler colony. It's been a long time since these were like well-established, firmly defined national boundaries, and also a successful revolutionary war took place in the United States of America.
Not pressure. That is why I said the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong.
Why does every analogy have to be about China, North Korea, and Russia? This is just like North Korea when talking about something the U.S. is doing right now. I know. Because we're American. Pet Kaya, or I'm unsubbing. Kaya, come here. Come here, lady. Come here, lady. Come here. Come here. Here. Come here. There you go. Don't unsub. Kaya. Okay. Come. Oh, God. She plays with all these other dogs at the gym, and they fucking bite the shit out of her. So her neck, like her entire neck, the fur is all crumpled up with dog saliva. You can't really see from the camera, but it's all like fucking dog saliva. Like, it looks like she's got like slicked back hair around her ears and around her neck. All the fucking dog drool. What's up? What are you smelling? What's up here? Anything of interest? What about this? Go get it.
is not the right way to resolve differences within an alliance. Nor is it helpful to frame efforts to strengthen Greenland's security as a justification for economic pressure.
Is that toy BDS?
Such
Why?
measures hurt British workers,
The fuck?
British businesses,
It's Bark
and the
brand.
British economy. And that is why I've been so clear on this issue. A trade war is in no one's interest. And my job is always to act in the UK's national interest. That is why yesterday I spoke to President Trump,
Oh,
to
you
European
did?
leaders, and to the Secretary General of NATO.
And you told him you have full confidence that he will do the right thing, right?
To find a solution rooted in partnership.
Bark brand is BDS. IDF uses Bark brand as chew toys for IDF soldiers, ... Sweetie, after a long day of killing children, they have to release their stress. And everybody knows it's Bark brand chew toys that the IDF soldiers use to release their stress.
Facts and mutual respect, because that is how strong alliances protect shared interests. The same is true on other issues. In the Middle East, we welcome President Trump's focus on sustaining the ceasefire in Gaza and moving on to phase 2. We are open to participating constructively in such efforts. On Ukraine, I can be brief. We strongly support efforts to bring the killing to an end and secure a ceasefire as soon as possible. We recognise President Trump's role in pushing that process forward. And we will work closely with the United States, Ukraine, and our other allies to apply pressure where it belongs on Putin. Finally, let me say why all this matters so directly to people here at home. In today's world, geopolitics is not something that happens somewhere else. It shapes the cost of energy, the price of food, the security of jobs, and the stability that families rely on to plan their lives. When war drives up fuel prices, it's households who feel it first. When supply chains fracture, it's small businesses and working people who absorb the shock. And when instability grows, it's rarely those with the most power who pay the price. That is why this government's approach is rooted in a simple belief that we must use every tool of government, domestic and international, to fight for the interests of ordinary people. At home, that means active government. It means taking responsibility for economic stability so that inflation is controlled, interest rates come down, and family budgets are protected. It means stepping in where markets fail, strengthening resilience, and ensuring that global shocks do not always land on the same people in the same places, the people least able to withstand them. That's why we've taken action to reduce energy bills, to freeze rail fares and prescription charges. But tackling the cost of living today also means engagement beyond our borders. It requires shaping the world around us, not retreating from it. It requires strong alliances, steady diplomacy, and rules that reduce uncertainty rather than amplify it. That is why our commitment to international law and to alliances founded on trust is not abstract or ideological.
Oh my God, I can't.
Prime Minister, many people watching this at home will have been shocked and angry over the weekend.
They ruled the seas once. 13 colonies, bro. Hold this fucking L. 13 colonies. Think about that. The sun never sets on the British Empire. Well, it surely feels like the sun has set now, doesn't it? It's just, it's crazy to see. What a sight to behold.
So-called closest ally is threatening us if we try to stop him illegally annexing Greenland. Is this the most serious crisis in the transatlantic relationship in decades? And how can the US remain our closest ally when it's bullying us like this? And just on tariffs, you say they are completely wrong and it will hurt the British economy. But if Trump does go ahead, to be clear, are you telling the British people that we will have to take that economic pain? And are you planning retaliatory tariffs if that happens? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Beth. And firstly, your point, this has been very badly received across the United Kingdom.
Yes, that's precisely what he's saying, Chatter. I just don't get how he is just a dumbass lip hypocrite. Sounds like he's saying we like what Trump's doing over here, but we don't support his actions over there. I mean, yeah, he's saying, Trump, you were doing great when you were fucking up Venezuela or whoever the fuck you want to destroy, but why are you doing that to Europe? Also, I will roll over and die for you, sir. That's it. That's at the heart of like the international, liberal international order. That's what it is. Trump is treating European allies. Trump is treating European allies like he treats any other country.
We're allies of the United States, and we work closely with them. And therefore, I'm not surprised by the reaction that's been across the United Kingdom. And it is a very serious situation. Our job is to ensure that we find a way forward.
It's not hypocrisy, it's capitalism, says Jason Hickel. One of my favorite posters on this website, professor at ICTA UAB and visiting senior fellow at London School of Economics. Not Jackson Hinkle, Jason Hickel. Unfortunate naming similarity there. The bizarre behavior of the Western states and leaders often seems to betray a moral double standard. He says it's not hypocrisy, it's capitalism. But in fact, it's all perfectly consistent with a single standard, namely the objective of maintaining the conditions for capital accumulation in the core. On Iran, they tell us to support the protesters, but of course they violently brutalize the protesters at home and never support protests against the governments of their own often brutal client states. They say support women's rights, but of course they actively support a genocidal regime that has massacred tens of thousands of women, live streamed to our screens. They say they want to see freedom and democracy, but of course they prop up several repressive dictatorships in the Middle East. They say value international law, but they violate it regularly in spectacular fashion as easily as they breathe. They say they want to see liberation, but their explicit objective is to impose a puppet monarchy with zero real sovereignty, permanently subordinated to the United States and Israel. Why? Because they want to maintain the conditions for capital accumulation in the core. This requires a massive flow of cheap labor and resources from the periphery. To keep it going, they do everything possible to crush any state or movement that seeks real sovereignty, because sovereign development in the South means that the South produces and consumes more for itself, so their resources and labor are less cheaply available for accumulation in the core. This is why they're going after Iran. It's the same reason why they're going after Venezuela and Cuba. It's the same reason they fantasize at going to war with China. It's the same reason they invaded Libya and Iraq. The real reason, like one of the best examples of this is with China, because if you listen to like old like World Bank style analysts and the way that they have presented capitalism, the Steven Pinkers of the world, like all these academics who talk about the bounties that capitalism has delivered. And I don't mean like the bounties that capitalism has delivered that, you know, Karl Marx has acknowledged as well. I'm talking about like modern capitalism, what some may even consider late stage capitalism, and how it's actually good, right? What do they always say? Capitalism has created a global economy that, by way of these trade partnerships and trade negotiations, has actually greatly uplifted the masses in the global South. These countries that were under previous formations destroyed through colonial plunder have been able to uplift themselves, have been able to modernize, have been able to develop. Now, of course, that development has been stagnant in the periphery as opposed to the imperial core, right? Why is the ACP guy making sense? This is not the ACP guy. This is an actual professor. Oh my God. They just have similar names. China is the one example of a country in the periphery that has been able to take on foreign capital, and by way of implementing a transitional socialist state, redistribute the productive output or all the material gains that they got from said productive output back to improving the material conditions of its population. This is why China is the number one enemy. It's because they were unironically able to have sovereignty, and on top of said sovereignty, they were unironically able to develop their own economy, develop their own country to a degree where it is competitive with the largest superpower on the planet, the United States of America. So in theory, capitalism, global capitalism has been able to, lift people out of horrible, extreme poverty conditions. And the one place where it did happen, they fucking will never let it go. They will never let it go. They will never stop in their efforts to dominate every country that has been able to actually uplift themselves through this process of global partnership, like global trade. They don't want any other country to also turn into China. That's the biggest fear for Western capitalists. Is Vietnam similar? Yes, Vietnam is also similar to a certain degree. It's the same reason why they invaded Libya and Iraq. It's the same reason why they assassinated Lumumba and Sankara. It's the same reason they prop up Saudi Arabia and the UAE. It's the same reason why they support Israel's genocide. The narrative of double standards presupposes that they have at least some shred of morality, but they do not. For them, there is but one standard, the law of capital. And in the interest of the standard, they will very gladly spit on every human value. They will not shrink from genociding civilians by the tens of thousands, peasants and workers and children. They will not flinch at killing 500,000 people each year with illegal sanctions. They will rape the earth and doom our collective future without a qualm. It is fruitless to appeal to capital, to imperialism in moral terms. The objective is to defeat it. Libertarian guy chimes in, says, only an idiot thinks any of that has anything to do with capitalism. It's nothing but pure statism. But that's it. It's true. I like to still utilize the hypocrisy argument for a lot of liberals because I want to snap them out of this, this concept that they have believed exists. Okay, that's the reason why I say it's hypocrisy, or I use hypocrisy. But hypocrisy is the marketing technique that I'm applying here. But ultimately, yes, this is the grand design. This is what happens when capital remains unchecked, especially when there is no other state power or no other great power out there that has an alternative vision, especially when that other world power, the USSR at least, no longer exists, and therefore American capital and Western capital can go unchecked. What you have experienced since the 90s is a byproduct of capitalism winning and going unopposed. Because capitalism won, and because there were no other alternatives out there, no other great powers out there that were trying to defy the order of international capital, we decided to destroy ourselves in the process. I was born in 2001. I didn't get the fun part. I mean, one could say there's never really been a fun part, but that's it. That's why all these guys are like playing this song and dance, trying to make it seem like there is a liberal international order, as Donald Trump is basically destroying all of the propaganda around that sort of thing by just saying the quiet part out loud over and over and over again. Because in practice, what Donald Trump is doing is not all that dissimilar from the relationship that we've had with Europe in the aftermath of World War II. Okay?
Consistent with our principles and our values, and consistent with our national interest. And the US remains a close ally on defence, on security, and on intelligence, on nuclear capability. We work very closely with the United States, and we must never lose sight of our national interest in that. But we must stand up for our values. We must be clear about the principles that we are applying here, and we'll continue to do so. On the question of tariffs,
that's why I keep reiterating that, like, a lot of these Western leaders, like, sure, they're cucked to America, but first and foremost, they are cucked to their own version of whatever their own representatives of like international capital looks like in their own countries. They're cucked to capitalism, and America is still the great defender of capitalism around the globe. It is the nation state that keeps this entire global design together. So, as the country that is responsible for the upkeep of global capitalism, they get to have all the benefits. If they want to fucking take over the UK, then they can do so. And Starmer will roll over. Because there is no real sovereignty in any of these countries. These guys are all representatives of the exact same forces. The forces of capital.
Tariff war isn't in anybody's interests. And therefore, what I want to do is to avoid a tariff war, because it will be businesses, workers and families across the country that will be hit by a trade war. I will do as I've set out, which is to engage with our European allies, with President Trump. And Chris, in response to the second part of your question, I spoke to President Trump yesterday, as I think you all know, and I'll no doubt speak to him again in coming days. Continually, our offices talk all the time, but we must find a pragmatic, sensible, sustained way through this that avoids some of the consequences that will be very serious for our country. Thank you very much, Beth.
So let me just put this to you bluntly. Is Greenland or NATO more essential to the United States' national security?
Well, Chris, that's obviously a false choice. That's a
not from the perspective of European leaders.
The European leaders will come around and they will
Yeah, he's saying they're dogs. They'll roll over and let us do whatever we want to do.
understand that they need to be under the U.S. security.
By the way, this is the first person in like Trump's orbit outside of Trump that has actually said, you know, openly that our goal here is to play chicken, and we know they will give in before we have to.
What would happen in Ukraine that if the U.S. pulled its support out? The whole thing would collapse. That the U.S., Kristen, to be clear, since 1980, the U.S. has spent U.S. military spending versus NATO military spending. We have spent $22 trillion more than the Europeans have. That we are peace through strength. And the Europeans now are only trying to play catch up. And that is only through President Trump. President Trump believes in NATO, but he does not believe in the American people being dragged in.
Well, in terms of the cost.
Can you confirm that the president's letter to Norway and then the EU might be preparing retaliatory measures over Greenland? Are you concerned about what that could mean?
Yeah, I don't know anything about the president's letter to Norway, that the president will be doing this because of the Nobel Prize. The president is looking at Greenland as a strategic asset for the United States. We are not going to outsource.
I mean, Trump said it. like I know that's not the main reason, but it's Trump himself said that. Okay, like, oh, sure, you guys are making it up again. My president is not so fucking stupid and childish that he would send a stupid and childish message like that to the fucking Norwegian leadership. Oh, he did do. Okay, well then it's good. He was projecting force once again. Norway needs to clean up its act. It's looking all oiled up over there. We're calling it White Venezuela. Do with that information what you will.
Our hemispheric security to anyone else.
Great. I think that'll probably be the last one for today, guys.
How concerned about retaliation? About the Europeans, this question.
I think it would be very unwise. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
So Keir Starmer hitting back at President Trump's threats to impose tariffs on the UK and 7 other European countries in the ongoing row over the future of Greenland.
Yeah, we know it was real because after the Norwegian prime minister pointed to him that the Norwegian government doesn't control the Nobel Committee, Trump said that he's lying. We already own Greenland in all but name. That's what European leaders keep saying over and over, but they keep begging Trump to let them maintain face. Trump is telling them he doesn't care about their self-respect, give over the island. Exactly. That is precisely what's going on. Trump wants to humiliate the European continent. I don't know for what reason. I don't understand it, which is why I'm saying who knows what the purpose is here. But that's what it is. Also, I went viral in China. Jealous? What you consider to be viral in China is a regular afternoon for me, okay? Michael from Pennsylvania, not Michael from Beijing, not Michael from Chongqing. Michael from Pennsylvania. Here you are, never blessed by Chinese soil, okay? Just saying. Just saying. You might go viral in China, but at least I've been to China. And we'll be going back soon. Okay, Hong Kong Hasi. I only went there to see what the one-party, two-systems design looked like. And it's clear to me that unification is an absolute necessity. Full-blown unification. Supporter of the second system, disgusting? Never. Never. This is ridiculous. Never.
Greenland. Well, let's bring in our security.
Also, you're hating from the outside, okay? You're not in the club, okay? You're not in the has been to China club.
I hope that there soon will be some more clever people in the States who will tell him, no, it's not going to work, this thing. You have to retire in some way or another, and then to make it successfully for you too. But I think he has lost his mind a month ago.
It's a bit like a spoiled child turned old. And
this never gets old for me. I'm sorry. Watching Greenlanders try to make sense of American maneuvering here is like crack cocaine. It's just funny seeing like reasonable human beings that are products of a decent education system look to what kind of insanity we have going on for whatever our version of the government is, and they're like, this is madness. Like, the fuck are these guys thinking?
I think he can, and he think he can scare people. He can't scare Greenlanders. We're not scared. We'll fight them to the end. We will never give in. And we are so happy we have so good allies.
I cannot really imagine that he can have Greenland, and he can put pressure on, yes, but I hope really he wouldn't succeed in it. But we don't know. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows,
No.
but we have a lot of allies, and now they are stepping up.
I hope that the American...
Teaching Greenlanders about Laura Loomer and the influence she holds over the American government is the equivalent of giving hot Cheetos to a medieval peasant child. Okay? It would one-shot them. It would literally stun them. Like, they would be like, it would dramatically alter their brain chemistry. Their lives would be ruined. Showing Greenlanders like American things. All these journalists are out there. They should do that. They should have a picture of Laura Loomer looking like Jigsaw to be like, hey, the president called this lady a free spirit. She's famous for trying to start an ISIS fan club in her college and then being expelled, chaining herself to at least one of the two doors at Twitter headquarters because she was banned, with a gold Star of David on her chest because she was making a Holocaust comparison, her being banned off Twitter. And she was an advisor to the administration and has been able to make policy changes in the current American government. If you were to explain that to like the average Greenlander, they would just die on the spot, I assume.
And people as well get their eyes opened to see this is not a good way to treat.
As a Canadian, I can now go to China visa-free, so really I'm winning here, Lamau. Brother, I don't think you understand. If Donald Trump takes Greenland, Canada is next, okay? Like, I don't think you get what's coming, dude. This is crazy. Wait, he said she's a free spirit again?
I'd like to invest in the United States $2 trillion. It's a lot of money. And then I went to Qatar, $2 trillion. And I went to the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed, $2 trillion. So we took in $6 trillion. That's why we have 18, because we got 6 from 3 countries. That helps, right? Laura, is that right? Hi, Laura. Boy, you're something. What spirit you have. Laura Loomer, thank you, honey, for being here. I appreciate it. She's, she can be a little nasty, but to me, she's always nice. So that's all that matters. I want her to stay that way, too. But I was over there, and he looked at me. The kid gave us, I'd like to invest.
What the fuck, bro? They're fucking. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Blowing bubbles on it for sure. God damn, what a free spirit she is. She could be a little nasty, but not to me. I like when she gets nasty to me. Ooh. When you start gargling on it, when you start blowing bubbles on it, I like it quite a bit. It's nasty. I say nasty girl.
Defense analyst Professor Michael Clark, who joins us. And Michael, Donald Trump saying you must have Greenland for security. That's the word that keeps coming up. In fairness, Sir Keir Starmer talked about security as well, but national security.
Well, that's enough HasanAbi for today.
You've got the United States, which isn't actually the closest neighbour to Greenland, that's probably Iceland and Canada. But he says it's vital to have that big blob in the middle.
HasanAbi, I'm eating, please. Wait, oh, my mistake. You guys got really horned up thinking about two sexual dynamos ravaging one another. Is that why? Two sexual deities just bumping uglies, okay? Yeah, Laura Loomer, she's a free spirit. She's a free spirit, that one. Oh, yes.
Why? Why does he need it?
Yeah, I mean, that's my challenge to this argument. I mean, tell me what the security problems are that can't be dealt with under present arrangements. And there's 2 or 3 ways in which security is relevant. I mean, the one way that goes back to the 1950s is security against the United States. I mean, this is the map that we normally see.
This is why I have still yet to introduce you to my strict immigrant mom. She's going to see this and actually you'll get denaturalized. She's been trying to get me deported already. So she probably has seen this. If anything, me bringing this up boosts her approval in the administration, right? Like she can be like, yeah, he knows the truth. She's probably in the chat right now.
Of Greenland, but if you look at
I'm right wing right now, yeah, because you got turned on. I shouldn't have brought it up. My mistake. Yeah, that's what you're saying, right, Chatter? You're like, damn, thinking about the sexual the sexual conquest that Trump engages in with Laura Loomer, the free spirit. It's making me turn into a right winger. Of course, a PSL 8 like Trump. With no recessed mandibles or whatever the fuck it's called, is going to go for a high tier Stacy like Laura.
More accurate map is the one from the top down, looking at the roof of the world, the Arctic Circle, because the shortest distance between Russia, or for that matter, China and the United States, if there were to be a missile attack, is essentially over the North Pole. That's the way an attack would come. And so, of course, the United States has been worrying about that, thinking about it quite logically for the last 60, 70 years. And there's the Pitchifik space base, as it now is. It used to be Thule for many years. And the United States used to have 17 radar installations and bases across Greenland with 15.
It is pretty funny. Like Michael from I was about to say Michael from Beijing on accident because he's not from there. He's from Pennsylvania, which is very different than Beijing. But he is right. They keep repeating how much dominance America has over Greenland already. And it literally feels like they're just saying like, dude, come on, you already own us. What the fuck do you want? You're embarrassing us, man.
1,000 troops. Now they've got one with 150 troops because that's all they thought they needed until a couple of years ago. And in addition to that, there are...
Philadelphia is the Beijing of Pennsylvania? Yeah, right. Keep coping, okay? Listen, I got a psychopathic technocratic fascist running my state. Your state, on the other hand, is being run by also a psychopathic technocratic fascist that may or may not have been working at the behest of a foreign nation. So much so that Kamala Harris and her campaign had to vet him and ask him if he was ever an agent of Israel. Okay? Mr. I volunteered for the IDF and then did a brief stint with the Israeli government as I was working for the Israeli, the Israeli embassy or something. Also, he covered up a murder. My governor kills the homeless personally. Your governor covers up when his friends or his family friends end up murdering someone. We are not the same.
There are 47.
But Mike lives in LA now too. It doesn't matter. His heart and spirit is still in Pennsylvania.
Installations in Canada and 15 radar installations there in Alaska, where the United States label is. That's Alaska. There is one in Fylingdales in Yorkshire.
Hey guys. Hey, Canadians in the chat. You notice something? You notice something? What do you see here from this angle? What's going on here? You think? If those trade routes must be controlled by America, who is stuck? Who is sandwiched between the United States of America, more United States of America, and supposed to be more United States of America? Who is right there? Who is right there sandwiched in between? Don't show Trump. I'm not kidding. I think it's a staging ground. I already said I'm going to die fighting invading American troops. What the fuck more do you want from a Canadian man? Is cooked because you have Albertans. in your country, okay? They are betrayers. They will betray you. They are going to imagine the entire country is run by Albertans, dude, because that's what's going to happen. The Albertan will welcome America as liberators, okay? Quebec is way worse. They already betrayed. They are French. No, you will be singing a very different tune when the Quebec separatist movement is one of the only significant insurgency forces that America will meet. Are you kidding me? Dude, the Quebecois don't even want to be fucking controlled by Canadian Anglophones. If anything, they will literally do terrorism like you've never seen before if it's American Anglophones that control Quebec. There will be a real guerrilla force in Quebec that will fight. That will be probably the most significant insurgency that the American military has to deal with. Also, full support to Bloc Québécois, the Quebec separatists in their war against America. Man, stop talking about this. You're literally going to manifest it. I mean, look at the map. I'm just saying. I'm just looking at the map. Trump is a very dumb guy. He sees a map like this. He's going to be like, well, we might as well take care of this other territory in between. You know what I mean?
In Britain, just slightly off the map there. And there it is. I mean, that makes up what's called the BMUs, which is the ballistic missile early warning system, and it's a mixture of short-range and long-range radars. Entirely sensible. So that could be built up on Greenland if the Americans thought they wanted more than one base there. And the chances are they will do over time as technology changes. They may want more bases. They can have all of that within the 1951 agreement that they've got with Denmark. The second way in which security is an issue is that Russian and Chinese ships are buzzing around because they're interested in the opening Northwest Passage. Most of that map, remember, is ice. It looks as if it's all sea there, but actually most of it is ice. And within the Arctic Circle, a lot of it is dark for 12 hours and dark all day for 6 months and light all day for 6 months, right on the North Pole. But that varies a little bit around the Arctic Circle. But long periods of darkness, long periods of constant light. And there is interest in the opening of the Northwest Passage because global warming is creating this.
Everyone here that was pretending Trump was being Trump has gone silent. Trust me, we are well aware this NATO support for Greenland is crucial. NATO itself is the reason why America can kind of do this, by the way,
and
but that's a different
States
conversation.
Has only really woken up to it very recently.
You need sovereignty instantly, okay? And that sovereignty comes at the barrel of a gun. And for states, what I mean when I say the barrel of a gun is nuclear arms. What's the one state that you will rely on for sovereignty? France, okay? At the barrel of a nuke.
Nordics, Denmark,
UK's
Norway,
nukes don't
Sweden, they've
count.
been talking about it for years. We've been talking about it in Britain for years. America wasn't interested until recently. And then the third way in which
if America annexes Canada, UK will literally voluntarily relinquish control over their own country. Like, America annexes Canada, UK, under the helmsmanship of elderly statesman Keir Starmer, will say, well, sir, you might as well take us too. I mean, come on, we're part of this. We're like a package deal, right? I mean, yeah, folding under zero pressure, UK.
Lesson seemed to imply, and Miller seemed to imply, is that some sort of invasion from Russia or China.
Zoran
towards Greenland.
Swan.
Well, they'd have to invade across, basically.
Thank you for the
across
25.
North
Get the
Pole.
subs.
Anyone who thinks that's feasible ought to look again at a map. It's not possible. So there is a security argument. NATO needs to do something as a whole with the naval challenge, and the ballistic missile challenge is the same as.
I like that these guys are talking like they have a say. It's cool. They have any sovereignty. Like they're still like, well, NATO will be a very important security cooperative agreement here, and it's a very important alignment. It's like, yeah, dude, no, totally. Yeah, you're so right. Okay, well, Denmark is a NATO ally. You could set up as many military bases as you want in Greenland without taking it. So why won't you do that? Why is Donald Trump saying, no, we're going to move beyond that, actually. We're taking it. We're seizing it. Oh, yeah, we'll have a say in this. Yes, we'll have a say in this. You won't have a say in this until you actually do have a say. You won't have a say in this until you say something beyond, why, yes, sir. Well, I mean, it would be terrible if you were to take it by force. I don't like it.
Really hard to do justice to the weather conditions in a video, but I've got my warmest polar mitts on. I've got 4 layers of trousers on here. And if you look out to sea, you can see the winds brought in icebergs onto the coast here. It's whipping the snow up here. We're the only ones standing around on this hill. It's -9 degrees Celsius, about 15 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's going to get colder. The conditions in Nuuk in Greenland are harsh to say the least. Denmark reinforcing its troops 200 miles north of here, that's inside the Arctic Circle. They are going to be facing some really extreme weather up here.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is en route to Switzerland this morning. He's heading to Davos, where he'll take part in the World Economic Forum. It is the 3rd stop on an international trip to shore up global trade ties and move Canada's economy away from the United States.
Shared via PowerPoint on Android? What the fuck is this? Preferred response to U.S. invasion. If Canada were ever to face a situation in which the United States used military force against Canadian territory, what do you believe should be Canada's primary response? Avoid military confrontation and make concessions to prevent further harm? Okay, I'm actually shocked that Bloc Québécois is at 31%. What happened? I thought guys, am I crazy? I thought the more conservative you are, the more patriotic you are, and the more you would want to defend your land, the more you would want to defend your sovereignty. And it kind of feels like the more patriotic you are, quote unquote, the more right-wing you are, the more you're willing to relinquish control. The plurality of conservatives want to avoid military confrontation and make concessions to prevent further harm. How is that possible? How is that possible? It's crazy. It turns out, I guess if the previous new design of the world was the nation state, the invention of the nation state, and nationalism for previous victims of colonialism and imperialism was somewhat, was like a leftist ideology for many of these countries, because it was about like fighting to gain national sovereignty. Nowadays, whenever someone says that they're a nationalist or a right-winger, that just means they want America to come over and fucking take over the country. It turns out the real patriotism actually was coming from the libtards and the NDP. Look at that. Look at that. The only party that has plurality pro-America, come fuck us, is the Conservative Party in Canada.
Ain't nobody gonna tread on me.
Oh, tread on me. Oh, tread on me.
It's illegal for the government to ask you for papers or come into your house.
Come into my house. Oh, come into my house. Here are my papers. Oh, my papers are right here.
Ain't nobody.
Oh, that's funny. God damn, dude. Oh, the small c conservative is actually small c for cuck. Yeah, that's what it stands for. You're right, chatter. Please. No, this isn't even don't just tread on me. This is literally tread on me, please. I'm waiting for you to tread on me. I would love the taste of boot in my mouth every morning. That's why I say, like, at least with American conservatives, like, they're fucking stupid. They are, the American conservatives think that when America projects power around the globe, like, they see the benefits of it. They don't, right? But if you're a Canadian conservative and you're like, America, project your power on me, you are a different level of cuck. It doesn't make any sense. It's the same principle behind, like, some of the Australian guys in the chat or some of the European MAGA guys who are like, yeah, it's fucking awesome that America's like dominating the globe or whatever the fuck. At least Asmongold's European MAGA supporters are like mad about the Greenland thing. Like, what the fuck?
That was wonderful.
Prime Minister Carney left Doha earlier this morning. He announced yesterday that Qatar has committed to invest in major building projects in Canada. Carney will be meeting next in Davos with leaders from around the world, and that will likely include European NATO allies. They'll be holding talks amid rising threats over Greenland from U.S. President Donald Trump. CBC News has confirmed that the Prime Minister is thinking about sending soldiers to Greenland for NATO military exercises. Ashley Burke is traveling with the Prime Minister. She has all the details this morning.
The Prime Minister is leaving Qatar today and headed to Switzerland for the World Economic Forum that Donald Trump is also expected to attend. Yesterday, Trump's latest threat to hit European allies if they resist his takeover of Greenland. Now, 2 Canadian officials confirmed to CBC News that Mark Carney is weighing contingency plans to send a small group of soldiers to Greenland for exercises with NATO allies. But when asked yesterday at a press conference here in Doha, Carney wouldn't say if he's sending troops.
It's a serious situation, and we're concerned. We're concerned about this escalation, to be absolutely clear. We always will support sovereignty and territorial integrity of countries wherever their geographic location is.
Carney was also careful not to directly name or criticize Trump. Canadian officials say that the contingency plans were drawn up and presented to the government last week. A Royal Canadian Air Force contingent is already taking part in pre-planned NORAD exercises in Greenland, but what the Prime Minister is weighing is whether to send more military members to take part in sovereignty exercises the Danes are planning. The officials said that those exercises could include drills to protect Greenland's critical infrastructure, and one option is to fly them there as early as next week. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Doha.
This is the biggest Epstein blowout news coverage ever.
Let me stop.
I mean, again, the actions that you're engaging in cannot be more destabilizing than the action that you're trying to avoid talking about. Bro, look at the Iranians who want the country to be invaded. I don't think that's the majority position. Please check logs, man. I am Mr. Olympics. Please stop ignoring me and get on the hype train. Heated rivalry. U.S. to face Denmark in Olympic ice hockey showdown. Brother, come on, dude.
They don't go.
Somewhat random fun fact, the last time Denmark sold an island to the U.S. was in 1917. That island was Little St. James, more commonly known today as Epstein Island. Wait, what?
Put a 25% tariff, which is, by the way, about 7 times more than they would have to pay by...
Oh my God, I joked about this yesterday. I said they're going to fucking buy Greenland or take over Greenland and turn it into the new Epstein Island. What the fuck? What the fuck, dude? Illuminati.
Raising their drug, like 7 times. This wasn't like a little bit more, 7 times more. And I may do that for Greenland too. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security. So I may do that. I'll give you a little, I'll take you out of that. In fact, that'll end up being the story. But actually, this is a much bigger story because we're reducing healthcare by numbers that you haven't seen. So I put a 25%.
Non-zero chance Trump likes Loomer because she just repeats her stream ideas back to him. Okay, I don't think that's happening. Yeah, Laura Loomer's in here taking notes. Every time I make a joke about something so stupid that it's like impossible that it would happen, Trump is like, or Laura Loomer writes it down and delivers it to Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump's like, that's a great idea, Laura. This is why I love you. You're a free spirit.
Start with you on Greenland, these new threats by the president.
Laura, when you came to me and you said Norway is basically snow Venezuela, when you told me about oil in Norway, I thought to myself, well, why is that state-owned? They need a little bit of economic freedom, don't they? We will use Greenland as a staging ground to invade Norway militarily and make sure that they no longer steal our oil. When you said to me, Laura, it's time for a big St. James next to the little one, but this time with the Nordic tundra, I thought to myself, not the best place for pedophiles, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe the pedophiles will have a better time on Greenland. It's a much, much larger.
These steep tariffs. I thought it was notable. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said, yes, the U.S. will remain a part of NATO. You have new reporting about President Trump eyeing more of the Arctic than he might be talking about publicly. What do you know?
Yeah, that's right. I also thought it was interesting that Secretary Bessent basically said there's no deal to be had to satisfy the president, that it's acquisition of Greenland or nothing, and that the Europeans will come around to that, and without saying why he thinks that. But yes, our reporting is that the president, while he's really focused on Greenland right now, privately, he's really intensified his focus on Canada. And he's complaining that Canada's northern border is vulnerable, and therefore that puts the U.S. as vulnerable. And he's not talking about buying Canada or taking Canada by force, but there are quiet discussions happening right now to try to get ahead of some big public blow-up of this and come to an agreement agreement that would basically ease the president's concerns. And Kristen, this is just part of a broader strategy by the president to reassert and expand American power in the Western Hemisphere.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on...
Tensions rising in Minnesota.
Canada, look. Canada, look at what we do to our own state. You can look forward to this in your under the newly controlled American regional leadership. Coming to you soon, Canada. Clip of Danish combat troops arriving in Greenland.
Yes. Welcome to.
To be fair, charitable chinchilla's back. To be fair, isn't this just classic multipolar politics where nations dominate their local areas? Can you point to me a time where America hasn't dominated its local areas? Whether multipolar or unipolar, it doesn't really matter. No, but we aren't as secure anymore. What does that mean? This is Neat Skit, by the way. He's back. After I unbanned him, he's back and better than ever before. Like we are sliding away from the dominant hegemon? Okay. Explain to me how undermining your only security partnership is actually working in making America safer. Because we already own Greenland. We own Denmark. We own all of these countries that are NATO nations in all but name only. So explain to me why Trump saying, no, we actually want to do it in a way where it embarrasses you is actually making makes sense from a security partnership standpoint. If international order is going to break anyway, there's an argument to get ahead of it by consolidating via territory rather than partners. Okay, but we already own it. You're failing to comprehend this. I'm against it, though. I think NATO is the way to go. We are the ones breaking it. No one else is breaking it. We're the ones who are breaking it. We're in the process of breaking it right now. Like, that's why I was saying this goes against, like, if the goal is the goal is to reassert American power, then the NATO Atlantists are correct, objectively, because this is only undermining those relationships. Because it makes it so that everyone that lives in those countries realize that this is not like a mutually beneficial relationship at all. This is just America projecting power. And it's fine if you're projecting power to others, right? It's fine if you're projecting power to others around the world. It's fine if you're projecting power to the periphery. It's not fine if you're projecting power to the imperial core. All this is doing is dominating the imperial core when we were already dominating the imperial core in all but name only.